What's going on, camera friends? Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm here at the Fort Lauderdale United match getting ready to shoot this game, and my lovely wife is on the camera, so in the comments, everyone say hi to Kate. Another big thank you to the Fort Lauderdale United media team for giving me this opportunity to come down here to shoot the match and to make this video for all of you guys. All right, the gear that we got set up is the S9, obviously. I've got the Sigma 150 to 600, and I will be recording my viewfinder so you guys can see exactly what I'm seeing on the Ninja 5. Yeah, that's what we got.
The question you might be asking yourself is, why the hell are you using an S9 to shoot sports? My answer is, why the hell not? I thought it would be interesting and hopefully entertaining to see how this camera holds up in this type of situation. A lot of people complain about the lack of EVF and mechanical shutter. Consequently, this scenario should be a nightmare for the S9, right? I like to go through the cons first in my videos. If you're anything like me, that's what I click on a video to hear. I should probably change that. Maybe that'll help the retention? Anyway, before we get to the struggles of the S9, let me quickly address the Sigma 150 to 600 because the lens does matter. I was not hyper-focused on how this lens was functioning, but I will say, at no point during the match did I feel like the lens was to blame for any misfocus or other not so good results. This was all about the S9 and how it performed. The first issue, or better yet, the first setting adjustment I made was turning off constant preview and eventually switching to shooting in high with no live view. I do like using constant preview because it allows you to monitor while you're making your exposure adjustments. The problem with that in this situation was the monitor lag. I understand that using a monitor while taking sports photos is very rare, better yet, never done. But I did want to mention it here because people do use a monitor for video, and since hybrid cameras can do both photo and video, hence hybrid, I think it's important to point it out. I've heard that this lag is a Lumix issue and it does not only affect the S9. When it comes to the shooting speed and live view feature, this lag was pretty rough. The first big speed bump, quite literally, was shooting in high burst. The card buffer hit rather quickly, and it took a few seconds to continue shooting in that mode. What I did realize after I got back home is that I had a V60 card in my S9. Big fail on my part. I'm sure a V90 would have done a better job, but again, I want to mention it here because some people don't have that V90 money. Let's move on to the positives. Besides my own operator error and an HDMI lag situation that doesn't pertain to the S9 exclusively, I thought this camera did pretty darn good. The autofocus worked great in my opinion, especially when taking in consideration that I shot a game a few weeks back on my A7R5, which is a beast for shooting sports. I'm not trying to say that the S9 held up to the A7R5, however, it did handle this environment surprisingly well. I'll remind you of the price difference between these two cameras. Yep, that's quite the gap. The only AF misses I noticed is when I was at 600mm and subjects were moving in and out of frame. There were points where I had to come back to 150, find my subject, and zoom back in. Other than that, the autofocus was totally usable, and any miscues were probably my fault. I'll also mention that I was shooting at 1/800th of a second with the ISO at 4000. The aperture was bouncing between an f5 and f6.3. This was a -1 underexposed, but I was shooting raw and I knew I could recover what I needed. Let me hop into Lightroom really quickly here and show you some images. I like the shot, came out pretty good. This next shot here, with her running in motion. This shot is unedited, and when you zoom in, you do see a little bit of noise right here. Throw a little denoise on that, and it takes care of it. Next shot here, decent focus, pretty sharp. A little bit of noise, but you're not really seeing it. This was also zoomed in. This is kind of closer to what this focal length was, if that makes sense. And when you're punching in, especially up top, I mean, who is punching in that much? Even this guy's like, what are you doing? Stop punching in that much. It's silly. Here is an unedited photo as well of the goalkeeper. Overall image looks pretty good. This was an unedited shot I got. This was what I came up with afterwards. I brought the exposure up a little bit, threw a little bit of denoise in there. The one thing I noticed is that when you come in a little bit closer, once again, punching in and pixel peeping and whatever you want to call it, there is a little bit of chromatic aberration, I guess. I mean, it's all over the place when you really jump in there, but all things considered, 24 megapixel sensor, I think the results are pretty good. I like this shot. Now we come to the Moire issue. Someone asked in my previous video about the S9 and Moire. Now, help me out here. I looked this up. When you're taking pictures of patterns, the patterns will have a weird effect in the image. When you punch into this pattern here, this is actually on the jersey. I'm not seeing anything. Help me out in the comments below. Am I missing something? Am I not looking at the right spot? This is a situation I would assume that this effect would start happening. And I got another one of this player coming back over to the sideline. And again, you know, man, this to me would be a pattern that would obviously have that kind of effect to it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Help me out here. I'm not a professional. I don't claim to know everything. Community, let's help each other out. What am I missing? What am I looking for? I'm not really sure. Last picture. I like this. She's out of focus. She's very much in focus, kind of the subject of the picture here. Overall, I think the images came out pretty darn good. It's pretty impressive. This is my 6K OpenGate custom mode screen you're seeing here, and while I wrap this video up, I'll let it play. When I pan, you can see the rolling shutter. It's very obvious. No buts, it is what it is. Would I use this camera in this situation again? Would I recommend this camera for this scenario? Was the S9 designed to do this? Am I young and in incredible shape? No, to all of those questions, especially the last one. Typically, I wouldn't shoot a game with a monitor, so I would be using my EVF the entire time. I'm sure that some of the issues I experienced would not have happened if otherwise. Next, I would shoot with a camera that had a faster buffer and 2 card slots, with RAW going to one and JPEGs going to the other, or I would have it redundant if the shoot was paid and or important. 2 things to note. The S9 did heat up quite a bit, but it did not overheat. That's good. The other is the location of the micro HDMI. That is terrible. And it's also terrible because it's a micro HDMI. With all that in mind, I still thought the S9 was able to perform well given the shortcomings it had. I am curious to hear all of your feedback. Tell me where I was wrong, where I was right, and please explain this Moire issue. Obviously, I am not fully grasping that. And to everyone that is still here watching this video, this is a special moment between me and you. Thank you. It means a lot. It really does. To make it to the end of a video nowadays, given the attention spans that everyone has, pretty cool. All right, that's all I got. Thank you so much. Subscribe, like, do all the things. And I'll see you soon.